I can be able to make progress with regards to every other thing. That is how it is. Okay. Now, this is what we'll be doing, we'll be taking care of today. First day, we talked about the 5-chapter structure. Then we also talked about proposal writing, and we addressed the concept of knowledge gap. Someone brought up an interesting question in the group. What is the difference between knowledge gap and research gap? And I said they are the same thing. In some cases, you even see intellectual gap. Once there is gap there, they all mean the same thing. Are we together? So today, we also understood in theory what chapter 1 and 2 is all about. And today we are going to understand in theory what chapter 3 is all about, what an abstract is, and we are going to write a chapter 1 from, we are going to write chapter 1 in less than 20 minutes using AI. I already have my prompt standby, so today is going to be more of a smooth flow. Just pay attention. Okay? So, next thing here is we have done a lot of talk, and today we are going to be doing more of action. We are going to see the execution properly. Yes, you are going to see the execution properly, because one of the things I assured in this class is that you will not just know or just hear, you also learn how to do. So if you remember the 6 elements of a prompt, you will understand that that is part of what we are going to do to get the desired results. I can already see that some of us are impatient. We will just want to spill the juice so that we can get ahead, and we are getting to that already. So one of the things that we'll start with this very moment is we are going to understand this particular tool for literature review known as Consensus AI. In case you've not heard of it, Consensus AI is an AI tool that is used for deep literature review. Yes, what it does is that you ask a question, it samples research papers and gives you outputs. Now, for the way the app is being built is such that your outcome or the output is going to give you will be in form of a PDF. And of course, for those of us who are tech inclined, we have a lot of tools that can convert PDF to Word, just in case you're looking forward to making use of that literature review. So that is very important. And then we can use it to find citations instantly. I told us that when I was writing my own project, one of the things I did was I was just writing on my own, I was just writing things based on head knowledge. And later on, my supervisor told me I had to include citations. So that was when I discovered Consensus AI, and I made the most of it. So we're going to see how to find instant citations for anything at all. Yes. And then we're also going to spot knowledge gaps and research trends. You can use Consensus AI to do what we did yesterday. Yes, you can use it to do what we did yesterday. Can you still hear me? Confirm. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay. Thank you. So I think today is better. I'm very optimistic about that. So the next thing is that you can even filter your research. Now, some of us, we have supervisors that when we want to do our research writing, they always insist that all your references must be from the last 5 to 10 years. Such persons exist. So what do you do in this kind of case? That is where Consensus AI comes into play. And for want of time, if time permits us, we might also see how that works using SciSpace. But just be rest assured that whatever we do in Consensus AI, you can also do the same in SciSpace, and you will get the same outcome. Do you get? So that is it. So we are going to go into the Consensus website now. I will share my screen shortly. Just give me a second to pop out the website. Okay, so I will share my screen now so that I can see the consensus websites. Okay, please confirm if you can see the screen. Okay, okay, so that is for that. So right now, I want to do something. Okay, nobody has sent anything. So I'll just think of something here. Let's say I want to ask a research question on something, let's say something like this. Just pay attention and follow my screen. Okay. So this is a very simple question, and many articles have been written on it. Now, this is how consensus works. You can see the outcome. First of all, it gives you an overview. It gives you an overview from 10 articles, 10 of the most common articles. And you can see here, if I click on this, you will see the particular citation by the site. Can we see that? So this is it. If you want to read it in full, you can see what that citation is all about. So that is it. Then this is the brief overview and the citations as well. Next thing, we are going to also see here the consensus meter. Can you see what I'm highlighting now? We can see the consensus meter. If we click on it, it will show us, it's going to show us the number of persons that it's going to show us the number of persons that have responded to that paper. Yes, okay, this is the consensus meter. So you can see here that 83% agree with the factors that lead to students, 17% disagree. Yes, 17% disagree. So that is it. So for the records, this is just how the this is just how it works. This is just how the consensus meter works. So when your consensus meter has a high positive output, it means that what you're asking for is reliable. Are we together? So it means that what you're asking for is reliable. Now, these are papers that you can also cite. Just like Google Scholar, when you come here, you can see my mouse. It says here, cite paper. If you click on it, you are going to see the citation in different formats. This is MLA, this is Chicago, this is Harvard. So for those of us who don't know what each of them mean, they are just types of citation. Just like you have different categories or types of shoes or different sports companies. So these are just different citation methods for digital libraries. So APA is the most common. You can now copy text. This is in case you have a statement that you made and you want to cite. Are we together? So another thing we can do here, we can click on filter, and let's say we don't want anything we don't just want any random paper. We only want in the last 5 years or in the last 10 years. We click on this 2020 to 2025, and then the next thing, we can choose open access. Yes, because it's very important that you have citations you can verify and know that they exist. So you can click here, and then methodology, you can set it to what you want. You can decide whether maybe this is the type of study you want. Is it systematic review? And so on. So that is it. Then next thing we do is apply. We click on apply. So I want you to bear in mind that okay.
Yes, sir.
So okay. So that is it. So you can see now that from this latest one that we got, that every year being highlighted was from the last 5 years, according to our prompts. This is 2023. This is the journal. These are the authors. These are the number of persons that have cited it. So if we click on citation and we copy this to our reference, this web page will count it as a citation. Yes, it will count it as we've cited the paper. That is it. Now, I know we've not gotten to the of discussing reference, but it's important I say this so that you have it at the back of your mind. When you are citing papers, do not copy word for word. Do not copy word for word. That is a very wrong thing to do in citation. Do not copy word for word, because when you copy word for word, I wanted to show us here, as you can see from my screen, what I wanted to show us here is what each of these tabs represents. Now, for the free version of Consensus AI, there are three different aspects here. You can see quick summary. This one is best suited for undergraduate students, so you might not even need to use these unless maybe you want to go deep. You want to review a lot of papers dependent on supervisor stress. So as you can see, you only have three for the deep research. These are the ones that PhD students mostly use. And then the pro is mostly for students who are doing their masters, while the quick one can serve for students who are doing their BSc, their undergraduate studies. So in addition, these are sources. You can decide for medical students or for science students, this is where it favors you. You can decide to use this as your source, and in some cases, you can even add your own sources that you want to use. Is it on YouTube? Is it on Google? Whichever one that suits you. So that is it. So we're going to just click all so that it will give us an overview. Then sometimes you can even upload the research paper you want. If you already have the paper, you just want the AI to do a comprehensive review on just that one, then you can do that as well. And then this is the filter. You can use this like I've already shown you. It says here that it has 23 fields of studies. So you can narrow down to any of these. For those of us in engineering, you can see yours: computer science, chemistry, biology, history, law, material science, philosophy. So if you cannot see yours, what you kindly do is tick any of the subjects related to that. Then for the medical students, you can already see that yours is outlined in the sources. Are we together? So that is it. So let's ask a research question now, and then we'll ask for the knowledge gap in that question. That is it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to ask for a research question, and then, or let's just do something from what we have done already. Yes, let's do something from what we have done already. We are going to select one citation and ask for a literature for this knowledge gap. Yes, okay. So this is it. We'll copy the text. Are we together? I've copied the text now. So I'm going to paste it in the new thread. So this is it. And then we asked it to identify the knowledge gaps from this research paper. Very important. And enter. So we wait for the results. It's doing a search. So as you can see, the topic here is a study on the causes of student failure in quarterly examinations. So this is what is coming out with. It says here that the study on the student failure identifies misalignment between student experiences and expectations from the institutions. So it goes further to talk about all these other things. And then it says here, watch my mouse. Additionally, the study does not extensively examine the effectiveness of specific teaching methodologies. So you can see that if this is a topic you are interested in, this is an area that you can decide to focus so that you can have something to discuss. And the next thing, we can ask a follow-up question, and we can do what we did yesterday. Simple command, refine this to the feasibility of an undergraduate thesis feasible within 3 to 6 months in a location. So watch me. So we have here refined this topic to include the knowledge gap feasible within 3 to 6 months for an undergraduate thesis in a federal institution in Enugu State. Okay, so research. So while we await, okay, so we can see the topic. You can see the topic it chose. These are the results. Factors, you can see this one, factors responsible for mass failure in economics in senior secondary schools examination in Enugu educational zone. So this would make for an interesting topic if you are within Enugu metropolis. Yeah, this will make for an interesting topic. All you just have to do is refine the words, because this is already a topic that someone has done. You just refine the words and then you will get what you want. Why secondary school geography students perform poorly? This one won't it won't hit the nail as a research topic, because this is more like a blog post. So, but number 1 and 3 are research topic types. This is how it should appear. So that is just an example for you to take note of. Number 6 also can serve, but you also have to give a little bit of hints on the problem, on the solution you intend to provide, in addition to the topic as well. So that is for that. So we've been able to explore the 3 areas in which consensus AI can be useful. Now, I want to show us one last thing before we go further. I want to show us one last thing. I'm watching my time. So we're going to switch this, or we're going to switch this so that it would give us a pro version of this. So we're going to ask for a comprehensive literature review on this. Thank you. So this is the instruction. Generate the comprehensive literature review on the first topic, and then we'll go. Remember, we are using the pro. So this is what the pro does. It ranks the papers first of all, and then it gives the output. So this is it. So what we are seeing here, pay attention. What we are seeing here is the theme. Whatever you see in bold is the theme. Just like I explained yesterday, literature review has to do with identifying similar themes that occur. So what we see here is the theme. And this is another theme, students preparedness, learning behavior. This is another theme. So things like this, the way this is, you can copy this and include in your literature review. Yes, you can copy up to this point. Do not copy the summary table. The only thing is that you will now start checking these citations one by one so that you will copy them as well and add to your work. So this is very important. So these are the papers. The fact that you can see them shows that they are readily available online. So that is for that. And then, so right now we are going to go back to our presentation. But I believe that we've been able to understand these concepts effectively. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so next thing we are going to do now we are going to discuss what chapter 3 and chapter 4 is all about. I want to sincerely appreciate each and every one of us for staying put all this while. Okay, I'm trying to okay, just give me a minute. I want to fetch something. Okay. Okay, so you can see my second from now. Okay, so please confirm if you can see my screen. Confirm if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So we are back here, and the next thing is we are going to look at this. We are going to look at this, and we are going to see how your chapter 3 works. We are going to see how an effective chapter 3 works. So this is one of the most, for most advanced researchers, they always say that this is actually the most easy part. This is actually the easiest part. So if you're able to understand your methodology, you'll be able to write your research faster. Now, what I want us to do is that by the end of explaining this thing, I want you, after now, one of the things you should go and think about is how to build your research topic around your methodology. Why I say this is because I do not desire for any student to spend a huge amount of money on getting an undergraduate project done. So during my own time, my research topic focused on questionnaires. Yes, it's focused on questionnaires, getting feedback from persons. Some other persons, like in civil engineering, they were required to construct some things, make use of concrete, make use of plastics, make use of other raw materials, and the list goes on. So think, as we are going to break this down, I want you after now, think on your research topic in the area of this research methodology that won't be difficult for you. Are we together? So that is one of the tips I'll be leaving you with. So it was one of the things I did that helped me. I don't recall spending up to 20,000 on my project. So that is another testimony. So that is it. Okay. So your research design, very important. When we're talking of research design, how do you want to get your data? How do you want to analyze your data? So most times we have two types, especially. We have the quantitative design and we have the qualitative. In quantitative, this is where you do tests or experiments that have to do with numbers. Surveys, most of the students in arts and humanities, they normally carry out these questionnaire exercises where they have to meet students, lecturers, citizens to sample their opinions. And then students in the medical field as well. There's something medical students do that we call community medicine for those in 500 level or thereabout. So community medicine is a course where you have to carry out a community project, a survey that will involve at most times 400 to 500 respondents. So that's a whole lot of work. And most times these respondents, they are not tech inclined. So they have limited knowledge on how to use Google Form. So you have to print the papers most of the time, and those things are time consuming. So this is another thing to focus on. You need to understand the type of audience you want in your research. Are we together? So that is by the way. Then the qualitative, this one is most common for law students. Most of the time, the persons I've worked with, they always do not have any need to include new data. They just have to work on existing data and design their survey and then get their analysis. So that is what case study represents. And ethnography as well, demographics like a particular region. And then in some cases, they can decide to combine both. So that is it. So understand this and know what you want. What type of experiments do you want to do? Is it soil test for those of us in engineering field? Then for those of us in the science field, at least I know some tests that can be done. Is it ANOVA? Is it one-way test? Is it parametric or non-parametric? So these are the things. And then second thing you want to do is you want to also know who your population and sample is. Very important. I already hinted on this. Most times, the reason why some lecturers reject students as population is because most students, when you give them a questionnaire to fill, they just fill it biasly. You see someone tick everything without reading it. I have seen cases like that. So I remember mentoring someone, a junior colleague of mine. So her supervisor just told her to get 50 lecturers to respond to our questionnaire. And for me, that's a fair number compared to 200 students, because you will get 200 students who are going to nag before filling your questionnaire. So your population is very important. And then to the difference between these two here, when we talk about population and sample, is that population is like the whole demography, all the students in Nigeria, for example, while the sample is just a fraction. Are we together? Now, one of the things to note is that there is a particular method they use for calculating this, but it doesn't apply to any of you. For now, you only get to do that in PhD. So you will calculate your sample based on your population. If A9 has 10,000 students and you want to perform a questionnaire on why students fail using AI, your sample is going to be not less than 100. Yes, because they believe that at least 1 to 7% of the total population should be your sample, as the case may be. Then in your sampling technique, you can have probability, you can have non-probability. Probability means just randomly approaching people. Why non-probability means that you've already said that this is my target audience. Probability is like our approach a parent, a lecturer, a stakeholder, a civil servant, and a student. Why non-probability is I will decide that all my respondents are going to be students. Are we together? Does that make sense? So that is for that. So having this at the back of your mind is very, very important, because it's going to help your survey come out strong. And the best part is that there's a way you can do this. If you are able to capture these things in your prompts, you can become guided. So it's important that you understand the fundamentals first before going into prompting. Okay? So the next thing you are going to do, you are going to decide what research instruments are you going to make use of. Is it questionnaire? Are you going to make use of interview guides? Are you going to make use of checklists? And if your test doesn't require any of these, what kind of test are you going to do in the lab? So state if adapted or self-developed and how it was validated. Very important. So most times, most of the study limitations usually come around these research instruments. You can point out in your methodology that due to limitation or due to unavailability of this, you will be using this to perform your experiments. Yes, it is valid and it makes you more authentic. Why I'm saying this is because we are going to get to a point where we prompt AI and it is going to give us some advanced stuff that is not available in Nigeria. Yes, so that's why context and location matters in your prompting. So if you understand what is available in your own school, then when you see what AI gives you, you'll be able to filter that one that doesn't make sense. Are we together? Okay. So the next thing is data collection. This is one of the most crucial areas. You don't want to collect data that is biased. You don't want to collect data that is just random. So first thing that we are going in your methodology and materials, you are going to write something that looks like a consent and this thing, consent part. So let me give an example. Let's say a statement like permission was gotten from the dean or from the HOD or from my supervisor to get respondents' data. That's an example of permission or consent. Do you understand? So it starts with permission, then recruitment, then consent, and then data collection. Then this is why it is important our results or our research is feasible. Be specific about the timeline and the procedure. If your research is not feasible, you'll be very confused about what you want to do. So that is it. And most times, in some situations, some lecturers may not be understanding to give you up to 1 month for data analysis, but you explain to them in your chapter 3 that these are the things involved. So it's important you have an understanding of these things. And then we'll come to data analysis. It's always important that you state the type of analysis you are going to do. Now, let me give you a clue, because this is one of the problems I faced when I started off as a data analyst. Most times, due to the fact that most students use AI to write their thesis, AI often recommends things that are not obtainable. Do you get the point? For example, this in vivo manual, it is not very common. It is not very common in undergraduate study. Most of the time, it is used by persons who are undergoing their master's and PhD. So the most common for undergraduate level, we have SPSS, we have Excel, we have R, and then we also have eViews and Stata. For those of us in economics department, boss admin, accounting, you will use SPSS, Stata, and eViews more often. Yes, you use them more often, and Excel as well. So these are the things. So for those of us in sciences, you are going to make use of what we call GraphPad, Prism, and SPSS more often. They do the same work, but GraphPad, Prism generates graphs that are more appealing visually. It generates graphs that are more appealing visually. So that is important to note. You'll be able to, you have to state the analysis type that you are going to do. Okay, so we are now talking about chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the results, right? And I told us yesterday that sometimes they may request that you will use your discussion in chapter 4. Sometimes you may be prompted to push it to chapter 5. But whichever one it is, just make sure you don't fall prey. So one of the things we are going to see in our prompt for this chapter 4 tomorrow is how to write a result in APA style. Yes, we are going to see that. And then the next thing we're also going to see is the presentation, how to present it. So most times, if you're a science student, it is not necessary most of the time to represent your data in a chart, unless you are dealing with standard error. Are we together? Unless you are dealing with standard error and frequency. Or if you did an experiment on rats, anatomy students, if you did an experiment on rats within the span of 4 weeks, you might be required to show the growth rates of those rats within that span. That is when a chart is required. But aside that, most of the time you'll be told to represent your data in a tabular form. So take notes. So the rule here is just describe. When we are talking of results, just describe, don't interpret yet. This is an example. We have here table 1 shows 65% of participants were female. And I also show us how to include the legend. There's something we call legend, where N is equal to a value, 65% of the total sample of your project. And then we'll come to discussion, subjective interpretation. What do the facts mean? And how does it connect to the findings? How does it connect to the findings from your literature review? This is where, in some cases, if you do something we call hypothesis tests, you would now verify whether your hypothesis is null or alternative. I will explain that tomorrow as well. You'll be able to explain whether it is null or alternative. And then you'll be able to address the implications and the unexpected results. Sometimes, even though you already have an idea of how the results should pan out, but most of the time, it may not agree to what you planned. Are we together? So it may not agree to what you planned. That's why it's very important that, you understand from the scratch that anything can happen. So that is it. It's very important. And then reporting findings with authority. Present your results with clarity using APA style. State the finding in plain English. So I don't know if I've said this, but if I haven't, just know it that the aim of research writing is not to fill up spaces with big grammar. In fact, you'll be doing yourself a whole lot of good if your language is simple. Yes, if your language is simple, then one of the things that is going to help you stand out and make your work not look so AI-ish is that you are going to diversify the structure. At some point, use long sentences. At other points, use short sentences. But make sure that someone that is reading can see a pattern. We are going to unveil all of that in our prompts. So that is it. And then this one applies to science students. Provide the statistical evidence depending on the nature of tests you do. And the most common thing that we always see, there is this question that pops up: is the results statistically significant? So if it is yes, it means that your results can be relied upon. In other words, the error in your results is minimal. And if it means no, it means that your results cannot be relied. So let me correct an impression. Regardless of whatever your result says, just know that it is better to leave it that way rather than try to change it. Yes, I have seen a lot of research papers that the result was not statistically significant. You still publish it. In fact, that makes your work original because it shows that the persons that did the test did it to the fullest. So anybody that is doing a further research will know that this particular method does not give a significant outcome. So this is an example, as you can see. Social media usage was significantly correlated with GPA. This is the R value, and this is the value. So you can see that it is less than 0.01, which is the significance ratio. So that is it. So it indicates that as social media use increased, the GPA, which is the grade points average, tended to decrease. Remember, this is still on the first topic, the impact of social media in academics. So it is saying here that there is a relationship. We'll get to the point where we'll analyze that and I will show us more of these things. So let's make progress. So bringing it all home. Now, when we are talking about chapter 5, it's just the summary, conclusion, and recommendations. First of all, you give a recap of your key findings. That's very important. You give a recap of your key findings. The second thing you want to do is to talk about your conclusion. You answer the research questions here, one by one. And another thing I will show us, even though most AIs have become smart to the point that when we are dealing with prompting, they already know how to number your thesis. So if I'm asking for an output on chapter 5, they will number it like 5.1, 5.2, and the list goes on. So it is left for you to use your wisdom to renumber it if there is an error or anything that gives hints that you used AI. Remember, my advocacy or what I am teaching you is to be smart with AI and not reliant on it. Are we together? So have that at the back of your mind. Be smart with AI. Do not be reliant on it. Very, very important. Okay. So now, one of the mistakes, I remember some of my civil engineering students that are here, some of us made the mistake of writing our abstracts before we were done with our work. An abstract is the last thing you will write on your project. Yes, it is the last thing you write on your project, not the first. So if you saw a template somewhere where it was the first thing, it is just a way of saving the reader's stress. Nobody is going to read all your project paper. Nobody. They will just go straight to the abstract, go straight to the conclusion. Then if he's a lecturer that is very good in reading, he will read your literature review. Yes. So abstract is the last thing. And that's why I said tomorrow, I'm also going to teach you how you will write an abstract in less than 5 minutes. Yes. So that's the joy of it. An abstract is no longer as difficult as it used to be when you have completed your research. So you see here, it says write it last, include the background, which is the introduction, the purpose of your research, the methods used, the key findings, and the conclusion. So that is for abstracts. Are we together? Okay. So next thing, the moment everyone has been waiting for. If you are still active, can I see a reaction? If you are still active, can I see a reaction? Okay. Okay. Very impressive. So what we are going to do now, like I told you, we are going to see these prompts. We are going to see how I'm going to write these prompts now. Like I said, what I intend to type is so big, so I had to craft it on time to save us that time of having to wait while watching me typing. So let's quickly head to our chairman, Google Gemini. Okay, so I'll be switching my screen in a moment. I'll be switching my screen in a moment. Okay. Okay, so please confirm if you can see my screen. Yeah, actually, and thank you for that question. I prefer Gemini because let me explain. The reason I prefer Gemini is simple. Gemini is owned by Google. Google has up-to-date information. If you are using the free version of ChatGPT, you are using outdated data. Are we together? You are using outdated data. But Google Gemini, if something happens this very moment, you will see it on Google Gemini. But when you search ChatGPT, you won't see a thing. I wish one of the things I would try to look for, I would look for an assignment we were given in 2023. We were to find something related to the election, but we checked and ChatGPT told us that its last updated information was 2021. So you don't want to use that kind of stuff to do your project. So that's actually why I prefer Gemini. It's the reason why I prefer Gemini to Claude, to ChatGPT. And the one that comes closest to Gemini is Grok. Yes, Grok is another up-to-date information. The owner, Elon Musk, connected it to Twitter, and Twitter is one of the fastest medium for information. So just bear this at the back of your mind. So I will paste my prompts now and we'll get started. Okay. So please, if you look at this, you see that there is a way it is pasted. I don't have time to start editing it, but the system understands what I want. So this is it. You're an experienced academic research assistant, blah, blah, blah. And I want you to write an undergraduate thesis using these things below. Department and field, projects. So I'm going to impute some of this information that is required. So let me say civil engineering. Just watch me as I do this. Okay. So I'm going to use my project title here to save us time. And then the next thing is area of interests. Area of interest or keywords. We might just say something like structural engineering. Yeah, that's your specialization. And then already the system knows it's an undergraduate thesis. Yes. So style is formal English chapter. We want it at moderate length, appropriate for undergraduate standards. So this is the task we want AI to do. Write chapter 1 only, ensuring clarity, originality, and feasibility of an undergraduate student. The writing must be simple, logical, supervisor-friendly, not overly. So this is how it's going to follow the structure. Background of study. It will do this, do this. Number 2, statement of problem. Aim and objective of study. Research question and hypothesis. Significance and justification. Scope of study, very important. Then limitations as well, very important. Referencing requirements. This is where it comes as important as it can be. APA style in text citations throughout. Is at the end of the chapter. Realistic, verifiable academic journals. So you can see that I took time to prepare these prompts. Output. So this is what we want. It must be original, even though AI can still hallucinate, but let us watch and see what it does. So I'm running through this prompt just to show you the level of context that I've included so that we can get a perfect outcome or a near perfect outcome. So I said they do not recommend advanced laboratory equipment unless explicitly stated by the students. Feasibility within 3 to 6 months. Use plain English and all that stuff. So let's send and see what the output looks like. Now, for the benefits of everyone in our community, I'm going to copy this and send to the group so that I'm going to copy the outputs and send to the group so that we can learn from it. Okay. Yeah, I am working on that. I'm working on arranging all the prompts. Yes, I'm working on that. Okay. So this is the outputs as we can see here. This is chapter 1. Are you reading? So if you are following, you will see that the result is mind-blowing. This is statement of problem. Now, pause for a second. What I want you to do, watch where I highlight from. Watch where I highlight from. Now, if you look at these places I highlighted, there is a symbol known as N dash. There is a symbol known as N dash. This thing that you see before the word range. It is known as N dash. Now, in recent AI models, N dash is a common feature that shows that your work is AI generated, especially if we trace and see that maybe from all your posts on social media, you've not been making use of it. So it is very advisable that you remove it. Read the sentence that the N dash.
I can't see your screen.
I think it's from your own end. Please confirm if you can see the screen.
It's from your end.
Check your network. It's from his end.
Okay, so you can see that. So if you look at it here, you see that anything that has an N dash, reread that statement and rewrite it in your own words. Yes, reread it and rewrite it in your own words so as not to be flagged as AI generated. Now, I think I'm already seeing a problem here. I don't know if anyone has seen it. There is no citation. Yes. Are we together? There is no citation. There is no citation. So it just gave us citation at the end. References at the end. There's a difference between references and citation. References is the list of citations at the end of the work, while citation is the in-text. That is the authors being referenced sentence by sentence. So we're going to ask it for a redo, including in-text citation. Watch me.
Sorry, is it just me? I can see your screen that you're typing, but I can't hear your voice. Is it just me?
Yes, I am not. Yeah, I'm not talking at the moment. So I'm typing it. I'm not talking at the moment. Okay, so this is the simple thing that we have here. Regenerate outputs and include in-text citation, maintaining previous commands or instructions. So let's see what it gives us. Okay. Wow. So does anyone notice any difference? Does anyone notice any difference? Are you seeing here? Yes,
Yes, you can see the in-text now.
Yeah, so someone asked a question. I'm actually using a paid version, but you can actually get this output with the free version. Google Workspace has been so generous with their free offers. So you can get this output even with the free version. And Google Gemini also gives you access to 10 deep searches per month. So if you are serious about your project, every month you maximize it, you leverage on it. In fact, one of the fun about prompting is that the more you prompt, the more you love the process. So practice is everything. So this time around, it included the in-text citation. Now, one of the things we can do, because let's say if you have a lecturer, there's a particular lecturer in my department, if that person happens to be a supervisor, you will be asked to cite every sentence. You are laughing. You'll be asked to cite every sentence. So what you can do is copy a sentence and go straight to Consensus AI, paste it there. Whatever result that comes out, copy that citation. Ensure that the journal has something to do with engineering. Copy that reference and then add it to your list of references. Are we together? Okay. So this is how it is. Now, one of the things you can also do is that at the end of everything here, read through what AI has given you. Don't just copy everything. For example, now, this Ebonyi State Capital Territory Development, it may not even be existing. Are we together? It may not be in existence for those of us in Ebonyi State. I didn't say anybody's name. So for those of us in Ebonyi State, this particular company may not even be existing. So that is it. It's very important you read all your outputs that AI gives you. So these are the list of references. Another thing to note is that your references must be arranged in alphabetical order. This is A, this is E, this is N, this is O, this is S. So these are actually few, but it works for an undergraduate research. If you're writing a master's, your reference for chapter 1 alone is at most times close to 2 to 3 pages. So I believe you've gained something now. So like I said, I told us we're going to write this in under 20 minutes and we've been able to do that. So if you learned something so far, leave a reaction, leave a thumbs up. Thank you very much. So I believe it makes sense. Like I said, I will paste the outputs as well. I'm working on compiling the prompts. Okay, so we are going back to our presentation. We are going back to our presentation slide. Okay, just give me a sec so that I can bring it on. We are going back to our presentation slide. Okay. Okay, so please confirm if you can see my screen. Confirm if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So that is that. Thank you very much, everyone who has stayed up to this point. Your commitment is not taken for granted. So this is just it. Prompts. Like I said earlier, we've explained all this yesterday. There has to be a rule. There has to be context. You provide background on the topic and the goals, which is what our prompts captured. There has to be a task. If there's no task, it's as good as you are just chatting with AI, asking how are you and all that stuff. And then there has to be a tone. The tone determines everything. If you are writing a research, your tone would be formal. Are we together? You are not writing a personal statement. But if you are writing, let's say, a report or a blog post, you might want it to be humorous depending on the nature of person you are or the nature of your audience. Are we together? So very important thing to note as well. Then these are the things that you will do later on your own if you are to work on something like that. So you will look at the accuracy, you will verify those citations. Now, if it were the old method of writing research, you will go to libraries and you will start searching. You will be reading books as big as encyclopedias. You'll be reading them. And then we came to a point where you can now search for them online, but they are still bulky. But these days now, you can use an AI tool to summarize everything. All we just ask for is that you have a fundamental knowledge of each chapter and you have a fundamental knowledge of good prompting. That's all we ask for, and you are good to go. So anything that you see as jargon, you can refine it and add your own voice. Restructure and rewrite citations. I've already pointed this out to avoid plagiarism. Now, there is something I'm going to show us probably tomorrow, how to refine citation and make it your own. But let me just say it in theory, just in case I forget. Let's say someone gives a statement. I think I'll have to use an example here so that we'll not just be talking. So I want to share my screen again. I want to share my screen back to the tone. The tone, thank you for that question. The tone here is more like how you want the response to be. The tone, do you want it to be professional? You just say it in your prompts. Just You want it to be professional. You want it to be formal. You want it to, you want it to be casual. That is just the tone you get. So that is just what it is all about. So I'm sharing my screen now back to what we did. So I want to show us something. I want to show us something using a place where there is a citation. I want to show us something using a place where there is a citation. So watch me now. So let's say we have something like this. Watch the place I'm highlighting. I'll read the sentence so that you understand it. The unique geological characteristics of the area, characterized by varying soil types and topography, necessitates a strict adherence to engineering practices. Now, if I see this, there are many ways I can rewrite this. I can say something like, the authors, Nwakonobi and Onwuka, iterated in their reports that the specific geological features of Ebonyi State, characterized by different soil types and topography, has brought about the need for strict adherence to engineering practices. It is not written anywhere in the world. That is your sentence. It is not written anywhere in the world. Nobody's going to fault you. Nobody's going to plagiarize you. You've invented something out of nothing. And for those of us who are content creators, one of the books you might want to read is How to Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I'll still drop it in the group. So the reason I'm saying this is to let you know that there is nothing here on the earth. There is nothing here in terms of literature and academics that is new. Everything is just a rewritten version of what is existing. Thank you very much. So back to our presentation now so that we can finish up and you guys can do something else. So I want to take a moment to appreciate us once again for staying up to this moment, sticking together in spite of the network challenges. I am very, very much grateful. Okay, so that's for that. Let me turn on my screen to just give me a moment so that I can get back on the presentation. Okay, so it should come on now. Yeah. Okay, so confirm if you can see my screen. Confirm if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So we are still on track. So the next slide. Now, the simple brief, like I've always said, you can see the image and the illustration. AI is your co-pilot, not your pilot. Now, if you've ever wondered why Microsoft named their own AI co-pilots, you have your answer. Co-pilot is meant to assist you, not to do the whole job. And one of the reasons why I didn't recommend co-pilot is because it is mostly used for technical stuff like coding. Yes, if you are someone who is a developer, you want to enjoy coding, I recommend Copilot and Claude AI. These two are the most. Hopefully. So these two are the most. So I recommend Copilot and Claude for anything that has to do with coding. But like I said, if you are into web development or any of those software stuff, make sure you have a strong knowledge of the fundamentals before going into vibe coding. So what you've just witnessed is simple. AI produces the first draft and it overcomes that problem of staring at a blank page for hours. If you remember, one of the things that we highlighted in the first day is that some of us, we are at a point where we've just been looking at our page. Are we together? We've just been looking at our page. So that is that. So we've just been looking at our page, no understanding of what to do, nothing at all. Everywhere is blank. And AI has taken that block away. What do you do next? You provide a critical thinking using your knowledge. Are we together? Using your knowledge. Now, one of the advice I will give is before writing on your topic, just ask AI to summarize what your topic is all about. Read only that. The reason I'm asking you to read a summary is because I understand the Nigerian system. Nobody is that much invested into reading. So ask AI for a summary. Read that summary so that you have something upstairs before you now go into prompting. A very committed person, like I was during my time, I read all the papers I used for literature review. 20 of them. And when I mean read, I don't mean scanning. Are we together? Because for me, reading had become a habit. It was something I did for fun. And I was finding it interesting because it was a topic of interest. But if you are not like me, you can ask for a summary, read that summary so that when AI gives you an output, you would know where it is talking sense and where it is hallucinating. So you provide the final voice, refine, fact check, and humanize the text. AI doesn't write your thesis for you, you do. AI just makes the process faster. So for those of us that registered early, one of the captions on the website was that you can write your project in 14 days. And going by how we've been moving, you can see that it may not even take 14 days. 14 days is a stretch. Are we together? So if you lock in for 7 days, you can even get the job done. So let's make progress. So the power you saw applies everywhere. This is how it is for every other remaining part. Are we together? This is how it is for every other remaining part. So tomorrow, like I said, we are going to go further into all the remaining prompts. We are going to also provide a complete guide for data analysis. Most of us voted that one of the aspects that they fear the most is data analysis. We've been able to solve the problem of topic finding. We are going to solve data analysis tomorrow. And in addition as well, it's very important. Probably by God's grace, I'll be bringing in some of my mentees who have been able to help prepare for their defense effectively and see results. So I'll be sharing defense preparation strategies with you. We will review everything. And when I mean everything, so this is a way of paying back the trust that you guys have for me from the get-go. Like I said, when we started talking about something free, a lot of persons thought we were bluffing. But most of my students who have seen me teach know that one way or the other, the goal has always remained to give value. So this is what you're going to do. You are going to try one prompt on your own. I'll give you the outputs. Now, if you are smart, I don't want to say what you will do, but if you are smart, I'll give you the output. Just use that output to craft something on your own. Thankfully, the network allowed us to be able to stay up to this point. So use that output to craft your own prompts and then use it to generate chapter 1 based on any topic of your choice. You don't have to use mine. So that is it. Tomorrow is the final day. Thank you, everyone, for trusting me. Thank you so much for being here up until this point. I really appreciate